Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam. Alongside me, as always, is my esteemed co-host, Tarik. How are you this evening?
I'm tired, but I'm happy to have 1 week of football down. It was a good weekend. Had some surprises, had some upsets, but it was a good week. How about you, buddy?
You know what? I had it was a good week. Football's in. I'm happy about that. Not happy about how I did. Uh,
I feel you there.
of course, we have our statistician, mathematician, Jessica Prince. How you doing tonight?
I am doing pretty well. I'm definitely tired like Tarek. I'm feeling that, but I'm super excited that the NFL season is kicked off.
It's okay. We're gonna bring that energy, Jess. We're gonna bring it. We're just gonna bring it. Anyway, we of course are brought to you by Aardvark Concepts Incorporated. They are more than just a sign. And Into Deep of Maryland, catch them at their next show, Saturday, September 17th at the Waterfront Bar in Baltimore. So I haven't punted, having missed the beginning here, but everybody was missing everywhere in the league last week. What the heck happened, guys?
Oh, this was just a crazy, crazy thing. I mean, we're talking about how many different, you can't predict how season's going to go. Everyone predicts it, how many people get paid to do that. We don't get paid, but we try to do it anyway. But depends on, I don't know what happened, how many people were missing. I don't know what happened with all the kicks.
Yeah, I think it was generally a pretty healthy start for most teams. Nowhere near as many injuries as obviously as last year, but I don't think it was even an injury heavy opener, to be honest. And some of the veterans and trusted people like kickers on these teams missing major easy kicks. I don't know. It was pretty shocking that the Bengals and Steelers game was entertaining.
Didn't a punt get shunted into the sideline? I thought I watched.
Oh yeah, yep. That was
the
one of the 4:00 games, right?
No, that was the Jets. Yeah, he.
Oh, that was the Ravens Jets. Okay.
Yeah, he kicked it way into the stands.
Oh, into the stands.
It was almost.
Yeah, it was complete left.
Yeah, I was thinking of, man, oh my gosh.
I watched so many games I can't keep track of.
I think I need a better refresher, but there was what team played that got a bunch of the Bills Rams game.
Mm-hmm.
The first game, there was obviously there was a bunch of turnovers there that the Rams didn't capitalize on, and one of them was a punt that went out of bounds and ended up giving them great field position as well that they didn't capitalize on. So that's what I was thinking of when you said that.
Gotcha. Now, just to be clear, of course, the Colts have cut their kicker for missing game-winning kicks and tying with the Texans. The Bengals missed multiple kicks to not only win it, an extra point would have won it for them in regulation, but there was Tampa Bay's kicker missed a kick, and he was in a dome. I don't know what the heck's going on with these people.
One of the fans in the back went.
But yes, there were a lot of missed kicks this week. I'm surprised there's only one kicker change this week. Well, if there's more struggles, there's going to be a lot more change next week. I can tell you that. Speaking of change, let's take a look at our standings for the year so far.
Did you just segue yourself?
That looked like he did not want to lead into the slide. It looked so painful.
Do you have some trepidation or something for this week, Sam?
It's a huge change from last year because I was always at the top last year, and currently I am super at the bottom. But everybody else is pretty close with an 8-7, 7-8 record. Maybe I need to stop taking so many long shots.
I mean, there were several upsets last week, though.
Yes, well, I was one of them. Speaking of long shots, Jessica, we're going to your game of the week. Who you got this week?
So I am following up on probably one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game from last week, and following the Minnesota Vikings up against the Eagles this week. I have a lot of confidence in both of these teams this year, but I don't have anywhere near as much confidence in the Eagles as I have in the Minnesota Vikings. All around solid team. I've been saying I think that they're going to make a run this year. I think Kirk Cousins is really going to have a great year. And now that I've seen Jefferson and Thielen and everybody just blow it up last week, I expect similar things this week. They played so well against Green Bay, which Green Bay admittedly didn't play at their best, but them not playing at their best is still better than a lot of teams. And the key here, I think, is going to be the coaching. Kevin O'Connell is a very strategic coach. He knows how to use each of his players. And with that, the Philadelphia Eagles tend to struggle with their run defense. And I think with the Minnesota Vikings being able to mix it up in the air and being able to run it on the ground, the Eagles are going to have a really hard time holding them. And as far as the Eagles offense, they're going to try and keep up like they did this week. It's all going to come down to Hurts. He's basically their Lamar. He makes things happen when nothing's available for him. The coverage is too tight, or their offensive line is just weak. So I think it's going to be, I guess I didn't pick a score here. I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game, maybe 34-27 Minnesota.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, though. A lot of mobility on those teams.
I think this was one of my finishers that I was debating on who to pick. But this should be a good one. I definitely agree with everything Jess said, partly because she did more research on this and I don't have all those stats. But the Eagles, I mean, you see trends. I guess I'll go about it from a different angle. We see the trends in teams a lot from year to year, from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. The Eagles, ever since going to the Super Bowl, have just kind of like solely kind of done from an eagle to a swan dive, just straight down. They haven't done anything as expected. They've been kind of the bottom of the barrel for the Sam's division of the NFC East. So it's hard to trust them in anything. The Vikings are one of those teams that tend to keep knocking at the door. We expect them to do well, but they don't always rise to the occasion. So I agree with Jess. I'm going with the Vikings. Should be a high scoring game.
Funny is just before the beginning of the season, the Eagles actually traded one of their top receivers to the Vikings, Jalen Reagor, deep threat, very fast guy. He was pretty much shut out last week against the Packers, which this week maybe he'll get a few more looks. He did just join them, so maybe that was part of the problem. Jalen Ramsey did put up quite a few good numbers last week against a Lions team that they're better than their record was last year, but they're still not great. The Lions did almost come back to win that game. They were very close.
You mean Jalen Hurts?
No. What did I say?
Ramsey.
Oh, see, that one went
Ramsey's
wide left.
Defense? Wrong team.
That one went wide left. Anyway.
Like that punt.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts, it hurts to say, did put up good numbers. The Vikings, of course, have put so many good players around Kirk Cousins this year that if he doesn't succeed, we'll know that it's pretty much Kirk Cousins is the reason why they're not winning at this point. They did hold Green Bay to only 7 points last week, but they only scored 20. Green Bay's defense is good, though. I don't trust the Eagles. Can't trust the Eagles. I don't trust Jalen Hurts. I'm going the Eagles. I'm going not Eagles. No, going the Vikings this week to win this game.
I don't trust them. I pick them to win.
I do think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game, though.
This
might be the highest scoring game of the week.
Something that it came down to for me was, Green Bay's defense isn't bad. I mean, they're pretty good, and the Eagles defense not so much. So, but yeah, you know what, Tarek, you did call me out on my stats. So I did get that the Eagles last week allowed 144 rushing yards. So I'm pretty sure this week is going to be even worse. That was against Detroit. So
They got a good running back, but I think the Vikings have a better running back.
right, yeah,
Yes.
and more weapons. But I digress. Go ahead.
Stop digressing, and we'll move on to Tarek's game. I'm sure he's dying to tell us what it is.
Oh, dying, just a slow, painful death. But speaking of the Lions, mine is the Commanders at the Lions. So this is a game completely normally out of my wheelhouse. It's not a game I usually pick. I was trying to go for something different this week. I think these guys are actually oddly matched up a little bit. So we got with the Commanders. They won last week, probably bolstered by their stupid new name. But
Or the fact they were playing the Jaguars.
that too. But a broken clock is right twice a day, I guess. Maybe Jags got to win at some point. I don't know. Not in my picks, but they got to win. But they also have Carson Wentz now, decent quarterback. And then you got Jared Goff for the Lions. Both of these guys are fairly new to the teams, but you got, and I actually wrote down stats. I have notes this week. This is very un-Tarek-ish. So we got the main thing here that I see is we got the highest, so not the highest, but we got Commanders are 4th highest in passing, and the Lions are 5th highest in rushing. So they're pretty up high, battling, going against different ways, but their defenses are pretty low. They're both Lions got 5th, so they're pretty high on that. But you got the Commanders with 32nd, so they're literally bottom of the barrel for defense. But I feel like they got more weapons and they got a better quarterback. So I think I'm going with the Commanders on this one. I think they're going to be able to just pull it out. It was a little bolstered a little bit by their win, and the Lions just, I mean, with their performance last week again and against the Vikings, right? Who they play last week?
The Lions?
Yeah, who the Lions play last week?
Eagles.
They play
Eagles.
the Eagles. Yes.
Yeah, so they lost to the Eagles. And then, so I think neither one of these teams are really great, but it should be a good opposing passing versus rushing battle back and forth. But I got the Commanders coming out ahead, but just maybe by like 2 points.
Okay. I also do think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a 27-24, but I have the Detroit Lions winning this one. So last year and many years, the story with the Lions is they score a ton of points just to lose the game. But I think that the Commanders or the Lions are going to struggle covering the Commanders' weapons in the receiving end of things. So their secondary is going to struggle. But at the end of the day, I have more confidence in Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, who regularly have these high scoring games, usually like comeback type games, fourth quarters, where they tend to lose by a point or 3 points. I have way more confidence in them actually pulling this one off than I do Carson Wentz in any situation, pretty much. I just think he did do well. He looked good in the first half of the game this week. But then he threw back-to-back interceptions, started doing his old stuff. It didn't seem to get into his head as much as it used to. So maybe he's getting a little bit more mature in that realm. But at this point, I don't trust him quite yet. I am going to go with the Detroit Lions, 27-24.
So this game is really a game, in my opinion, it comes down to the names. The newly minted Commanders going against probably the greatest named receiver I've ever heard, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and of the Detroit Lions.
Come on, Amon-Ra.
That's right. He's actually a really good receiver for this team. He broke out last year. He had a pretty good game last week with 64 yards and a touchdown. The Commanders, of course, played the Jaguars. I mean, and they still almost lost. It was actually a pretty close game. The Lions came back to almost defeat the Eagles last week. They put themselves in a hole early. I don't think that's going to be as big an issue this week because the Lions have a great running game. Even though the Commanders have a great couple of receivers in Curtis Samuel and McLaurin, I still believe that the Lions have the edge here. I picked the Lions to win this game.
Close game.
Oh yeah, the Lions don't do anything as a blowout.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
That's right. Well, no, they absolutely go one way. Don't
I
go the
want to
other.
say what last year their stats were something like 85% of their games were decided in the last 2 minutes and they lost by 1 to 3 points or something.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Or
They
less
were
than
always
3
within
points.
they were almost always within one score of the other
And
two.
these are good teams too that's happening with.
Yeah,
So, but they still managed to lose.
because they're the Lions.
Yeah,
But they're playing another team that likes to lose, the Commanders.
true.
All right, let's move on to my game of the week. This one's going to be a bit odd. I picked the New England Patriots against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is an interesting game, partly because the Patriots came out completely flat against Miami last week, which is super uncharacteristic of a Bill Belichick team. The Steelers came out and put a couple of good hits on the Bengals, which is the opposite of what everybody was kind of thinking they were going to do. So I think the New England Patriots kind of right the ship this week. There's no way they go 2 weeks, especially with the Steelers turning the ball over so many times last week. The New England Patriots will find ways to capitalize on those because that's what Bill Belichick does best. Capitalizes on mistakes. The Steelers probably going to be going another couple weeks with their current quarterback before they switch to the rookie Kenny Pickett. But I have New England winning this one, actually going away.
All right. I went the other way. I know words. Tends to be a theme for me this week. I'm going with a lot of upsets. Maybe hopefully I'll fare better than Sam did in our picks last week. I'm going with the Steelers. Not trying to just go against a team that I just hate. I truly hate the Patriots and Belichick. But I think it's just an interesting setup, an interesting matchup. You got this is Steelers' first year without Ben, but you have a coach that's been probably second longest running currently next to Belichick. I think, like he's been there since Cowher left with Mike Tomlin. I'm making up.
No, that's true. That's right.
So, but I'm interested to see how this goes. The Patriots have kind of struggled to find an identity since Tom Brady left. We don't hear their names as much anymore. So I think I agree with Sam. I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. But I think the Patriots are kind of struggling a little this week. We'll see what the Steelers can write. I actually hate both these teams, so it's not really. I'm going with the Steelers.
This one's kind of tough for me, and I honestly don't remember who I picked, but I think I picked New England because at the end of the day, there's injuries to go around on both teams here, but the major loss on the Steelers is definitely TJ Watt. So defensively, they're going to struggle with that. There's not going to be that extra threat to Mac Jones, which he's also potentially, I'm assuming he's playing. Mac Jones.
He's playing.
He had the back x-ray and everything. I don't know if he's going to be 100%, but I think what Bill Belichick's going to try and do is focus more on the run game. I don't think the Steelers defense is going to really be as much of a threat this week. I think it's going to be a very low scoring, close game. And I think Bill Belichick is going to do what he does. And, he's not going to lose twice in a row here.
Are you sure, Jessica?
Is that not what I picked?
We're going to find out here soon.
Go ahead and change it.
It's just gang up on Tarik night. Everyone just picks the opposite of what Tarik picks.
All right. So we're going to move on to Brady's game of the week. We have he had picked the Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. This would have been my game of the week. Brady claimed it before I could. He's planted his flag before I could get to it. Tom Brady didn't look great last week. He got one touchdown pass, and he didn't have too many passing yards. A couple sacks, an interception. The New Orleans Saints almost fumbled the ball against the Atlanta Falcons. And that's a team that a lot of people were expecting to be in the cellar, considering they seem to be in a rebuild this year with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. They did put up some good numbers, though. The Saints did, and I think this one's going to be a close game. I don't think Tom Brady loses this game. I really don't. I think he finds a way to win, but it's possible that if he doesn't put up numbers, people may start seeing the cracks in his proverbial armor. So.
Yeah, so I don't hate Tom Brady as much as I hate his former team, but I think he's got a lot of problems at home. I think that might be affecting his play. So since he decided to come back and he's Giselle isn't happy about it, but maybe that's affecting his play. Saints, their defense struggled, didn't look great. I got notified on our fantasy league, like 50% of people or more, like all dropped the defense going into this week. I think Tom is going to keep it up, and he's going to be able to bolster himself. Hopefully, we'll see. For my sake, but so I get this pick right. But I'm going with the Bucs.
So I'm going to go ahead and agree. I'm going with the Bucs. I still don't think Tom Brady looks like old Tom Brady. He's not going to. I do think he bounces back some and redeems himself a little bit. But the New Orleans Saints, they allow a lot of rushing yards. Sorry. And or at least last week, I think they allowed more than 200 rushing yards week 1, and that was against Atlanta. So, I mean, it's hard to imagine the Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't going to top that. I know that New Orleans is going to work on that, and typically they play the Buccaneers really well. The last 2 years, they've gone 4-0 against the Bucs with Brady. So I think this is where that streak breaks. I think Brady and the Buccaneers take this one as the last time that they I don't know, are they meeting again later this year?
Yes, they're division rivals. They meet twice a year.
Right. Well, this will be the first time that as a Buccaneer, Brady beats New Orleans. Anyway, I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. It's not going to be a shootout, obviously. So I think it's going to be Leonard Fournette day, and it's going to be 23-17.
Are you sure about that one, Jessica?
Did I not pick them?
We're going to find out here shortly.
Listen, I am like half tired all the time. I very well could have not picked them.
As we jump into our quick hitters, let's take a look at the first set of games. Looks like only one of these games was unanimous. The Baltimore Ravens over the Miami Dolphins. Now, mind you, I waffled on that one a little bit. I think Miami has a chance.
Me too.
Let's move on. We'll move on to the rest of the 1:00 games here. Looks like we have two of them: the Panthers and the Colts as the unanimous.
I changed my pick from the Steelers to New England.
Yep.
Otherwise.
Are we sure the Colts are going to win and there won't be another tie? What if this AFC South just goes winless the entire season?
It's funny.
Oh.
It's funny. Nobody in the AFC South won last week, and two of them
played each other. Yeah.
I was sitting there watching the Cincinnati game and Steelers game, and obviously they're division rivals. And I was like, I don't care who wins at this point. I don't want there to be a tie. And of course, I come to find out Indy died.
I almost had more than one tie in a week for the first time since 1970.
And it was almost like the same exact score. It was like both like 20-20.
Mhm. All right, let's move on to the 4 o'clock games. All but the last one we have on here is unanimous. I'm the only one that picked the Cardinals to win. Otherwise, it would have been unanimous. And the later games, everything's unanimous on these games. Everything. Of course, if we go back, we'll see the Browns Jets with Amari Cooper. We have that that was split 2-2. So
Brady will be proud of you, Sam.
yes, had to work it in. So all right, and that's it.
That's it, guys. Thank you for sticking around. Please comment down below. Let us know if you think we're right, if you think we're wrong, if you think someone else is going to tie this week. Any hot takes, any deep cuts, let us know what's going on. Leave a like in the video. Let us know you watched it.
Do you
Subscribe.
like
Hit that
Jessica's
button.
hair?
Okay.
What's my thingy not working? I'm all blurry.
You just completely threw me off my roll there, Sam. Like, what about Jessica's hair? I have no idea what's going on anymore.
Wait a minute.
I think we're all too tired for this. Where did I leave off? Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, click that bell, all the YouTube stuff, because we're professional YouTubers. And as always, I'm Tarik.
I'm Jess.
I'm Sam, and you have a great football week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.